The Council's fatal decision. The Grand Council chamber floated in the darkness of space. Inside, 12 of the most powerful species in the galaxy sat around a glowing table. Their faces showed pride and confidence. They had ruled the stars for thousands of years. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. Today, they would add one more to their list. Ambassador Zix stood up from his seat. His purple skin glowed under the chamber lights. He was from the Krelor species, known across the galaxy as master strategists. His 4 eyes scanned the room as he began to speak. Fellow council members, today we discuss a simple matter. A small planet, a primitive world. They call it Earth. The other ambassadors leaned forward with interest. Some smiled, others laughed quietly. Zix continued, his voice filled with certainty. The humans of Earth possess something we need. Their planet is rich in rare minerals, resources that could power our civilization for centuries. But these humans, they are nothing. They still use chemical rockets to leave their own atmosphere. They fight among themselves over invisible lines they call borders. They are weak, divided, and completely unprepared for what exists beyond their sky. A tall, insect-like ambassador clicked his mandibles in agreement. How many ships do they have in space? None, Zix replied with a dismissive wave. They have stations that orbit their planet. Small metal boxes where a handful of humans float around doing experiments. They have no weapons, no shields, no understanding of real galactic warfare. Laughter echoed through the chamber. These powerful beings had destroyed civilizations with millions of warships. Earth seemed like a joke to them, but in the corner of the room, one figure did not laugh. Commander Thane sat quietly, his gray scales catching the light. He was a veteran of many wars. He had studied countless species before battles began, and he had spent months researching humans. What he learned had troubled him deeply. I request permission to speak, Thane said, his voice cutting through the laughter. Zix looked annoyed, but nodded. Speak quickly, Commander. We have a vote to complete. Thane stood slowly. His old bones creaked, but his eyes were sharp and alert. I have studied the humans. Yes, their technology is primitive. Yes, they fight among themselves. But there is something else. Something dangerous. Zix laughed. What could possibly be dangerous about them? Their history, Thane replied. Humans have survived extinction events that would have destroyed most species. Ice ages that froze their world, plagues that killed millions, disasters that should have ended them. But they always survive, always adapt, always come back stronger. The chamber fell quiet for a moment. Some ambassadors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Zix broke the silence with a harsh laugh. Survival means nothing without technology, Commander. They may be tough, but they are still primitive. Our weapons are thousands of years ahead of theirs. One of our warships could destroy their entire planet. That is exactly my concern, Thane said quietly. We assume they will fight like we fight. But what if they don't? Humans are unpredictable. They don't follow the normal rules of warfare. Enough! Zix's voice boomed across the chamber. You speak of fear, Commander. Fear of a species that doesn't even know we exist. I call for a vote. All in favor of invading Earth and claiming its resources. One by one, hands, claws, and tentacles rose into the air. 11 ambassadors voted yes. Only Thane kept his hand down. The vote is decided, Zix announced triumphantly. We will send the 5th Fleet, 500 warships, 3 million soldiers. They will reach Earth in 3 days. The invasion will take 1 week, maybe less. The humans will surrender when they see our power. By next month, Earth's resources will be ours. The council chamber erupted in cheers and celebration. Ambassadors congratulated each other on their easy victory. They talked about how they would divide Earth's treasures, but Thane did not celebrate. He walked slowly toward the exit, his heart heavy with worry. Zix noticed him leaving and called out, Commander Thane, why so sad? You should be happy. This will be the easiest conquest in our history. Thane stopped at the doorway. He turned back, his ancient eyes meeting Zix's confident gaze. You don't understand humans, Ambassador. You see their primitive rockets and assume they are weak. But I have read their history. I've studied their wars. Humans have a saying, don't mistake kindness for weakness. We are about to make that exact mistake. Nonsense, Zix replied. In 1 week, you will see how wrong you are. Thane said nothing more. He simply walked out of the chamber, leaving the celebration behind. 3 days later, the 5th Fleet arrived at Earth's solar system. 500 massive warships dropped out of hyperspace. Their weapons powered up, their shields activated. The invasion had begun. The Council waited for news of their quick victory. They waited for reports of human surrender. They waited for confirmation that Earth was theirs, but no messages came. Days passed. Then weeks. The silence was deafening. Finally, after 14 long days, a single damaged ship appeared at the edge of Council space. It was barely functional, leaking air and power. Inside was one survivor from the Fifth Fleet. He was barely alive, his body broken and burned. Council members rushed to hear his report. They needed to know what happened. Why had their mighty fleet gone silent? The dying soldier looked up at them with terrified eyes. His voice was barely a whisper, but everyone heard his final words clearly. Don't go to Earth. Please. They are not what we thought. They are not weak. They are monsters. Then he died. The Council chamber fell into stunned silence. 500 warships, 3 million soldiers. All gone, all silent. And only one survivor who died before explaining what happened. Ambassador Zix felt cold fear creep into his heart. Commander Thane's warning echoed in his mind. What had they awakened on that small blue planet? What were humans truly capable of? And most terrifying of all, were the humans coming for them? The answers would arrive sooner than anyone expected. The silent return. The Council chamber was no longer filled with laughter and celebration. Now it was filled with fear and confusion. 14 days had passed since the Fifth Fleet went silent. 14 days of waiting for answers that never came. Ambassador Zix stood before the emergency council meeting. His purple skin had lost its glow. His 4 eyes showed worry and doubt. The confident leader who had promised an easy victory now looked like a frightened politician trying to save his reputation. We must remain calm, Zix said. But his voice shook slightly. The silence is unusual, yes, but there could be simple explanations. Perhaps Earth's atmosphere interferes with our communications. Perhaps the fleet is too busy securing the planet to send regular reports. Commander Thane sat in his corner saying nothing. He had warned them. They had not listened. Now the price of their arrogance was becoming clear. A female ambassador from the Zentari species spoke up. Her voice was sharp with anger. Simple explanations. Zix, we sent 500 warships. Even if every communication system failed, we should have received something. A probe report. A scout ship return. Anything? I agree, said the insect-like ambassador. This silence is not normal. We need answers. Now. Zix nodded reluctantly. Very well. I have already dispatched 3 scout ships to investigate. They should reach Earth's system within hours. We will have our answers soon. The council members settled into an uncomfortable silence. Hours felt like days as they waited. Finally, a communication signal appeared on the main screen. This is Scout Ship Gamma, a nervous voice reported. We are approaching Earth's solar system now. Entering scanning range. Wait. Oh no, what is it? Zix demanded. Report. The fleet. We found the fleet, but they're all... The signal cut off suddenly. The council chamber erupted into chaos. What happened? Someone shouted, we lost the signal. Send another ship. Before anyone could act, the screen flickered back to life. But this time it showed video footage. The council members fell silent as they watched. The image showed space filled with debris. Hundreds of massive warships floated dead in the darkness. Their hulls were intact. No signs of external weapons damage. No blast marks from missiles or energy beams. The ships looked almost peaceful, like sleeping giants. But they were all dead. Every single one. How is this possible? Whispered the Zentari ambassador. What weapon could do this without leaving marks? Commander Thane finally spoke. His old voice carried across the silent chamber. Look closer at the ships. The damage is not on the outside. Zix zoomed in on the nearest warship. The council members gasped. The ship's airlocks were open. Escape pods were gone. Windows were broken from the inside, not the outside. They were destroyed from within. Thane said quietly, something got inside the ships and killed everyone. Impossible. Zix protested. Our ships have the best security in the galaxy. Multiple checkpoints, DNA scanners, armed guards at every entrance. Nothing could just walk inside, and unless they were invited in, Thane interrupted. The chamber fell silent again. Everyone stared at Thane. What do you mean? Asked the Zentari ambassador. Thane stood up slowly. Think about it. Our fleet arrived expecting an easy conquest. They probably took human prisoners thinking they had won. But what if that was exactly what the humans wanted? What if they let themselves be captured? That's insane, Zix said. Why would anyone surrender just to be taken prisoner? To get inside our ships, Thane replied. To study our technology, to learn our weaknesses, and then to strike from within. Before anyone could respond, another signal came through. This time it was Scout Ship Delta. Council, we have recovered data logs from one of the destroyed warships. Sending footage now. The main screen changed. Now it showed the interior of a warship command deck. The timestamp showed it was from 2 weeks ago, just after the fleet arrived at Earth. The video showed alien soldiers celebrating. They had captured a group of humans. 20 humans stood with their hands raised, looking scared and defeated. The alien commander was laughing. Look at them, the commander said in the video. They surrendered without firing a single shot. This will be the easiest conquest in history. Take them to the holding cells. We'll question them later. The video jumped forward several hours. Now it was nighttime on the ship. Most of the crew was asleep. Suddenly alarms started blaring. Security breach in Sector 7. Someone shouted, "How?" The prisoners are still locked up. No, they're not. The cells are empty. The video showed chaos unfolding. Human prisoners were moving through the ship like shadows. They didn't use advanced weapons. Instead, they used the ship's own systems against the crew. One human hacked into the life support system, creating confusion by changing the air pressure. Another sabotaged the weapons controls. A third group poisoned the food supply. They moved with precision and planning, like they had studied the ship's layout before even being captured. The alien soldiers tried to fight back, but they were confused and disorganized. They didn't understand how the humans knew so much about their technology. How do they know our systems? An alien officer shouted in the video. A human voice answered from the shadows. It was calm and cold. We've been watching your ships for months. Every time you came to our solar system to scout, we studied you. We learned your language. We mapped your technology. We waited for you to get close enough. And you did. Thank you for that. The video showed the final moments. Humans had taken control of the entire ship. The alien crew was locked in their own holding cells. Then the screen went black. The council chamber was completely silent. Every ambassador stared at the blank screen in horror. Zix's voice was barely a whisper. They planned this. All of it. Yes, Thane said. Humans didn't surrender because they were weak. They surrendered because it was the smartest strategy. They turned our own invasion into an opportunity. They captured our ships, our weapons, our technology, and they did it without firing a single shot. The Zentari ambassador's voice shook. If they captured our ships, where are they now? As if answering her question, a new signal appeared on the screen. It was not from a scout ship. It was from the Council's Home System Defense Network. Emergency alert. Unknown fleet approaching. 500 warships. They matched the signature of our 5th fleet. Zix fell back into his seat. No, that's impossible, but it was true. The humans had not destroyed the 5th fleet. They had captured it, and now they were bringing those 500 warships back. But this time, the weapons were pointed at the Council's own worlds. A transmission came through. The screen showed a human face. She was a woman with dark hair and cold eyes. She wore a military uniform. Behind her stood human soldiers on the bridge of what was clearly a Council warship. "Greetings, Galactic Council," the woman said calmly. "My name is Commander Sarah Chen of Earth. You sent 500 ships to invade my planet. We accepted your gift. Now we're returning the favor. You wanted war. You're going to get it." The transmission ended. The council chamber erupted into panic. Ambassadors shouted over each other. Some demanded they fight back. Others begged for evacuation. A few simply sat in shock, unable to process what was happening. Commander Thane remained seated, his expression sad but not surprised. He had tried to warn them. He had told them humans were dangerous, but they had not listened. Now Earth's fleet was at their doorstep. 500 warships that had once belonged to the Council were now under human control, and the humans were not coming in peace. Zix looked at Thane with desperate eyes. "What do we do? How do we stop them?" Thane met his gaze. His voice was quiet but firm. "You don't stop humans, Ambassador. You either make peace with them or you pray they show mercy. Because if they decide to fight, we will lose. Not because they have better technology, but because they have something we lost long ago. They have the will to do whatever it takes to survive. Outside the windows of the council chamber, stars began to disappear, not because they were dying, but because 500 massive warships were blocking the view. Earth's fleet had arrived. The invasion that was supposed to take 1 week had turned into humanity's greatest victory. And the Council's greatest nightmare had just begun. The humans strike back. The Council's capital planet had never been attacked before. For thousands of years, it stood as a symbol of galactic power and peace. Giant towers reached into the sky. Beautiful gardens covered the surface. Billions of citizens lived without fear, protected by the strongest military in the galaxy. Now, that safety was gone. 500 warships surrounded the planet like predators circling wounded prey. They were the same ships the Council had sent to conquer Earth. But now, humans controlled them, and the Council had no idea what the humans would do next. Inside the emergency command center, Ambassador Zix stood before dozens of military officers. His 4 eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep. His purple skin had turned almost gray with stress. "Status report," Zix demanded. A young officer stepped forward nervously. "Sir, the human fleet maintains position around our planet. They have not fired any weapons yet, but their targeting systems are active and locked onto our major cities." "What about our defense fleet? Can we fight them?" The officer hesitated. "Sir, our defense fleet consists of 300 ships. The humans have 500, and those are our own ships. They know all our weaknesses, all our tactics. Our strategists estimate we have less than 20% chance of victory if we engage." Zix slammed his fist on the table. "This is impossible. We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled for thousands of years. How can one primitive planet defeat us?" Commander Thane entered the room quietly. He looked tired but calm. "Because we underestimated them, Ambassador. We thought primitive technology meant primitive thinking. We were wrong. Then what do we do?" Zix's voice cracked with desperation. "Do we surrender to these humans?" "We negotiate," Thane replied, "before more lives are lost." Zix wanted to argue, but he knew Thane was right. Pride had already cost them 1 fleet. Pride would cost them everything if they were not careful. "Fine," Zix said bitterly. "Contact the humans. Tell them we want to talk." Minutes later, a transmission came through from the human fleet. The screen showed Commander Sarah Chen sitting in the captain's chair of a council warship. She looked completely comfortable, as if she had been commanding alien ships her entire life. "Ambassador Zix," Sarah said with a slight smile. "I was wondering when you would call." Zix tried to maintain his dignity. "Commander Chen, what you have done is an act of war. You have stolen council property and threatened our homeworld. There will be consequences for—" "Stop," Sarah interrupted calmly. "Let me save you some time, Ambassador. You cannot threaten me. You have 300 ships. I have 500. You are surrounded. Your people are afraid, and you know you cannot win. So let's skip the posturing and talk like adults." Zix's face flushed with anger, but he stayed silent. Sarah continued. 2 weeks ago, you voted to invade my planet. You sent an army to conquer us, take our resources, and probably enslave or kill my people. You did this because you thought we were weak. You thought we would be easy prey. We made a mistake, Zix admitted quietly. "We did not understand." "No, you didn't," Sarah agreed. "You didn't understand that humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know war. We know strategy. We know how to survive against stronger enemies. When your fleet arrived, we had a choice. Fight and probably lose or think differently." The Zentari ambassador, who was watching from the side, spoke up. "You surrendered on purpose." "It was a trap," Sarah nodded. "Yes, we studied your scout ships for months. We learned your language, your technology, your military protocols. We knew that if we surrendered, you would take prisoners. You would bring us onto your ships, and once we were inside, we could do what humans do best." "What is that?" asked Thane, genuinely curious. "Adapt," Sarah replied. "Your technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. But technology is just tools, and humans are very good at learning how to use tools, especially tools that belong to our enemies." Another officer stepped forward on the council's side. "But how did you take over 500 ships?" "There were 3 million soldiers." Sarah's expression turned cold. "There were 3 million soldiers. Past tense. Most of them are now in the holding cells of their own ships. Some fought back and did not survive. War has casualties, officer. Your council started this war. We just finished it. The room fell silent. The weight of 3 million captured or dead soldiers pressed down on everyone's conscience. Zix found his voice again. What do you want, Commander? Revenge? Destruction? Name your price for peace. Sarah leaned forward in her chair. I want you to listen carefully, Ambassador. I'm going to tell you a story. A human story. Everyone in the command center listened. Thousands of years ago on Earth, Sarah began, humans were just primitive hunters. We were not the strongest animals on our planet. Predators like lions and bears could easily kill us. But humans survived. Do you know how? No one answered. We formed packs, Sarah continued. We worked together. We used tools. We adapted to every environment. When ice covered our world, we learned to make fire. When diseases killed millions, the survivors became immune. When we fought each other in terrible wars, we learned from our mistakes and built peace. Humans are survivors, Ambassador. We don't give up, ever. Then there was another animal on Earth, Sarah said. Wolves. Dangerous predators that could kill humans easily. But instead of destroying them, we did something different. We made peace with them. We domesticated them. Today we call them dogs. They are our loyal friends. The same predators that once hunted us now protect our children. Thane's eyes widened. He understood where this was going. Do you see my point? Sarah asked. Humans don't just conquer or destroy. We adapt, we learn. We turn enemies into allies when possible. Your council thought we were wolves to be hunted. You were wrong. We are the ones who tamed the wolves. Zix swallowed hard. What are you saying? I'm saying you have two choices, Sarah stated firmly. Choice 1, fight us. Your 300 ships against our 500. You will lose. Your planets will be damaged. Millions will die. And even if by some miracle you win, more humans will come. We are survivors, remember? We never give up. And choice 2? Asked the Zentari ambassador. Peace, Sarah said simply. Join us. Not as conquered people, but as equals. We share our resources. You share your technology. We build something better together. The Galactic Council was created to bring peace to the stars, wasn't it? So let's have real peace. Partnership, not domination. Zix looked at Thane. Commander, what do you think? Thane stood slowly. I think Commander Chen is offering us something we don't deserve. Mercy. Humans have every right to destroy us after what we tried to do to them. But instead they offer partnership. I say we accept. Other council members began nodding in agreement. Some reluctantly, others with relief, but one ambassador stood up angrily. He was from the Dravok species, known for their warrior culture. This is surrender. We bow to no one. I say we fight. Sarah's image on the screen turned to face the Dravok ambassador. Ambassador Dravok, I have studied your species. You value honor and strength in battle, correct? Yes, Dravok shouted. We do not cower before enemies. Good, Sarah said. Then understand this. I have 500 warships surrounding your capital planet. I could destroy every military installation in the next hour. I could level cities. I could show you what human weapons can do when we stop being merciful. But I choose not to. Not because I am weak, but because I am strong enough to choose peace. Is that not the greatest form of strength? Dravok stared at her, his warrior mind processing her words. Slowly he sat down. You are right, human. True strength is knowing when not to fight. You have my respect, Sarah nodded. Thank you, Ambassador. Zix looked around the room. He saw fear, respect, and hope in the eyes of his fellow council members. Finally, he made his decision. Commander Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I accept your terms. We choose peace. We choose partnership. Earth will be welcomed as an equal member of this council. For the first time since the conversation began, Sarah smiled. It was a genuine smile, not cold or calculating. Good choice, Ambassador. I look forward to working with you. But know this. If anyone ever threatens Earth again, we will remember what we learned from this experience. We know how to capture your ships now. We know your weaknesses. Never forget that. We won't, Zix promised quietly. Excellent, Sarah said. Then let's begin our new partnership. Earth has a saying, keep your friends close but your enemies closer. Let's make sure we're friends, shall we? The transmission ended. Commander Thane walked over to Zix. You made the right choice, Ambassador. Zix nodded sadly. I suppose I did. But Thane, tell me honestly, if we had voted differently 2 weeks ago, if we had listened to your warning, could we have avoided all of this? Thane thought for a moment. Perhaps, but maybe this needed to happen. The council had grown arrogant. We believed we were superior to all other species. The humans taught us an important lesson. Advanced technology does not make you invincible. Underestimating your opponent is the greatest weakness of all. Outside the command center windows, the human fleet began to move. But they were not attacking. Instead, they were repositioning into a defensive formation around the planet, protecting it, not threatening it. The message was clear. Earth was now part of the Galactic Council, and humans kept their promises. In the coming days, Earth representatives would arrive for formal negotiations. Technology would be shared, treaties would be signed, a new era would begin. But everyone in that command center knew the truth. The Galactic Council had not expanded to include Earth. Earth had conquered the Council without firing a single shot in space. They had done it with intelligence, strategy, and the very human quality of turning enemies into allies. And somewhere on that small blue planet, billions of humans looked up at the stars with new hope. They were no longer alone in the universe. They were no longer the weak, primitive species that needed protection. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again.